And I look forward to working with the Commission, the Board of Supervisors, our officers, and communities across the city to do just that. To our officers, I will have your back every single day. We have made so much progress, and you have made it possible. And San Francisco, I want to be clear, our work is not done until every family, every worker, every visitor feels safe on our streets. And we will continue to be relentless until we get there. Chief Scott, we are indebted to you for your 8 years of service to our city. We thank you. We know you will continue your distinguished career, and your future colleagues are very fortunate to have not only your leadership, but the benefit of your experience and deep knowledge. And with that, I'd like to introduce Chief Bill Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Lurie, and thank you to all of you for being here. Let me start by saying that serving as the Chief of Police of this great city for the past 8 years has been truly an honor. Never in my wildest dreams, when I told my wife in 1987, shortly after we were married, that I wanted to live in San Francisco, could I have imagined that we would get here by me becoming the Chief of Police of this great department in this great city. But some things are just meant to be. And almost 30 years after making that statement, my wife and I were in this very room, right next door to the International Room, in December of 2016, when Mayor Ed Lee introduced me as the new Chief of Police of San Francisco, one of the greatest honors of my life. When I was hired by Mayor Lee in 2017, the mission was clear. He wanted the department to enter a new era of policing and had called upon me to lead the department to do just that. The city had just agreed to engage in an ambitious collaborative reform initiative with the United States Department of Justice that included implementing 272 recommendations that would improve our department and policing of our city. Recently, the California Department of Justice found that the SFPD was in substantial compliance and ended its oversight over the SFPD. I am pleased to say, as I stand here before you today, to announce that I will be retiring from the San Francisco Police Department to pursue a new opportunity as a chief in another jurisdiction. Thanks to the tireless work of the members of the SFPD, sworn and non-sworn, combined with the department's collaboration with community partners and many other entities, we accomplished what we set out to do and made the department better and helped this great city to become safer in the process. Now, during my tenure here with the SFPD, we have had many accomplishments, but I want to highlight a few. There are way too many to highlight individually, but I want to highlight some of the more substantial ones, at least in my mind. Last year, the city saw its lowest homicide rates in over 60 years, and that trend continues this year under Mayor Lurie's leadership. Gun violence has been reduced by approximately 50% compared to previous years in the southeast part of our city, where gun violence is the most prevalent, because we have focused a violence reduction initiative strategy that has been proven to be extremely successful in reducing gun violence. Property crime that has long challenged the city of San Francisco for decades are at 20-year lows and continue to fall. Auto burglaries, which peaked in 2017 at over 31,000 car break-ins, have been reduced to less than 10,000 last year and continue to decline even more this year. Those accomplishments and more occurred while we reduced uses of forces dramatically over the last 8 years, cut officer-involved shootings approximately in half, and our officer-involved shooting presentations, which I believe is one of the most consistent and transparent processes in this country, has made us more transparent and increased trust with the communities that we serve. My departure comes at a time of great momentum in the SFPD and in our city under the leadership of Mayor Daniel Lurie, and I fully expect that this momentum will not only continue, but get even better. And I know Chief Yep, because we did work together for 6+ years, will continue everything that this department is doing and take us to greater heights while he's here during his tenure as the interim chief. The SFPD has been given the tools with recent technologies that we are now able to use, such as automated license plate reader cameras, drones, and the use of existing surveillance camera systems and new surveillance camera systems in ways that we could not before. That has resulted in us catching more criminals, solving and clearing cases faster, and recovering and returning more property back to victims. There's no feeling in the world to see a person who has lost a family heirloom have it returned to them because our officers were able to resolve that case quickly and return that property back to that victim. While many of these technologies have received widespread attention, it is the work of our officers, day in and day out, that have really caused this change to happen. I think he's sad that I'm leaving as well. And I can't stand here before you and take credit for any of this work without shining the light on the police officers that do this work day in and day out, and the non-sworn members of the San Francisco Police Department, our lab technicians, our administrative staff, people that do the behind the scenes work that really allows this department to continue to move forward, because it is them who really is the lifeblood of our department. So in closing, I'd like to thank a few people, and please bear with me because it's actually more than a few, but these are people that have been instrumental in my term here as the chief of police, and I want to call them out by name because without them, I don't have any success. This department doesn't have any success, and they have been our supporters, and they need to be publicly acknowledged. Starting with the 4 mayors that I have had the pleasure of serving under. Mayor Ed Lee, who hired me and brought me here. Mayor Mark Farrell, Mayor London Breed, and our current mayor, Daniel Lurie. All of the current and past members of the San Francisco Police Department during my tenure, thank you for working with me and moving this department forward. All of the past members and current members of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors during my tenure here. Our District Attorney, Brooke Jenkins, who has been not only a good partner, she's been a great partner and a great friend. Brooke has truly been my partner in crime fighting, and I just can't say enough about the work that she has done to lift this city up and bring us back to where we deserve to be as one of the greatest cities in the world, and we still have work to do. To my public safety partners, current and past, starting with Sheriff Paul Miyamoto, who I can't thank enough for all of his partnership, his friendship, and that of the San Francisco Sheriff's Department, and former Sheriff Vicki Hennessy. Fire Chief Dean Crispin, and although Dean and I have only worked together for a short period of time, he is the right man for the job at the right time. Great guy, great partner, and I can't thank him enough for our time together for these few months that I've worked with Dean. I'd also like to thank former Chiefs Janine Nicholson and Joanne Hayes-White because they also were great partners. Director Mary Ellen Carroll of the Department of Emergency Management. Mary Ellen is there through some of the worst emergencies that this city's ever faced, including COVID. She helped lead the Department of Emergency Management and this city through the COVID pandemic. And I want to thank her for her partnership, her confidence in me as a partner, and just everything that she does. And also I'd like to thank Ann Cronenberg, who was her predecessor in the Department of Emergency Management. I want to thank all the current and past members of the command staff, including Policy Chief Paul Yep, who stands next to me and who I will introduce to the mic next, but also the assistant chiefs that I work with because they were my partners. And I want to call their names, starting with the current. Assistant Chief David Lazar, one of the hardest working people that I've ever met, and I'd like to thank him for his service. Assistant Chief Denise Flaherty, who was my Chief of Staff before she retired just recently. Acting Assistant Chief Peter Walsh, who has done a multitude of jobs and stepped up when we needed him to, and I want to thank him for being there. Assistant Chiefs Mike Redmond and Bob Mosier. Can't say enough about those two. It was a great partnership, and Mike and Bob helped us get through one of the most difficult times in policing, COVID and the aftermath of George Floyd. And I couldn't have asked for better two people to be beside me and help lead this department during those times. And Assistant Chiefs Tony Chaplin and Hector Sainez, who were here when I got here, helped me transition into this job, and I learned a lot from them, and I appreciate everything that they did for this department and everything they did to help me. And last but not least, Executive Director Catherine McGuire, who managed our collaborative reform initiative, among the many other things that she does. I'd also like to thank the current and former members of my office, the Office of Chief of Police, who do all the work behind the scenes to make the Chief's office work. And four people that I'd like to individually call out, and that's our current Special Assistant Lisa Ortiz and the current OIC of the Chief's office, Lieutenant Ken Lee, who I've worked with for the better part of, I think, 4 or 5 years. Those are I'll start with my left hand because I'm left-handed, my left and right hands. And they're people that were there when I got here, Rowena Carr and Tad Yamaguchi. Rowena was the executive assistant and Tad was the OIC of the Chief's office, so I want to thank them for everything they did too. Our City Attorney David Chu and our current SFPD General Counsel Jan Huber and our former General Counsel Alicia Cabrera. They are really my protectors and the protectors of this police department, and I appreciate everything that they do day in and day out in their roles. There are many fellow department heads that I would like to call their names, but we would be here all day, and I know I will thank them individually. Many of them I've already called and reached out to, and I just appreciate their partnership because it is truly a team effort in this city. And being here behind the scenes, you all don't get to see how we work together. And under Mayor Lurie's leadership, that's become even better. And we work as a team, we rise and fall as a team, and our successes are because of a team. And I'd like to thank all of our department heads and community members from across the city. We work with this police department, and any effective police department has to work effectively with community. And to do that, we have to earn trust, but we have to truly be partners. And in that city, this exists, and that's why I know we're going to be okay.
And you've been listening to a major announcement happening at San Francisco City Hall this morning. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott announcing this morning he will step down to become a chief in another jurisdiction. He had served for 8 years, sworn in by Mayor Ed Lee back in 2017. This comes as Assistant Police Chief David Lazar is also set to retire at the end of this month. This morning, Daniel Lurie thanking him for his service, naming Paul Yep as the interim chief. Yep had been serving on the force for 28 years and was currently part of Lurie's administration as the public safety czar. The transition from Chief Scott to the interim chief, Paul Yep, will take place over the next 6 weeks as the mayor's office will then begin the search for a new permanent chief. So once again, a big shakeup at San Francisco City Hall. Police Chief Bill Scott announcing that he will retire and step down to take on another job in another jurisdiction. We'll have much more on this shakeup at San Francisco City Hall throughout the day on CBS News Bay Area on the stream and starting at noon on KPIX. We'll be right back. I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute. We have some breaking news happening out of San Francisco City Hall. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott is leaving the force. During a media briefing this afternoon, he said he's stepping down to take on another opportunity as a chief in another jurisdiction. This announcement also comes with Assistant Chief David Lazar retiring at the end of the month. Beginning today, real IDs are officially required for all domestic flights. This applies to Americans 18 years and older. The Department of Homeland Security says if you don't have one yet, you can still catch your flight, but you'll face extra screenings at the airport. And the conclave to elect a new pope has officially begun. The door to the Sistine Chapel has been shut inside. 133 cardinals are choosing a successor to Pope Francis. Earlier, they took an oath of secrecy. They will stay in isolation until a new pope has been elected.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, downtown San Francisco hoping to turn things around by expanding entertainment. Meet business owners banking on brand new block parties to ramp up the rebound.
But for the first time since COVID, I'm finally feeling like there may be a light at the end of the tunnel.
Plus, the gold rush has returned to the Bay Area. We're going to ask local collectors what's driving the frenzy.
You can put it in the safe deposit box, hide it under your mattress, your shoe, whatever you want.
And a new way to find a place to live in this tough housing market. We'll introduce you to a college student who scored a room to rent, but there's a catch.
It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore to lend a helping hand.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start with First Alert meteorologist Jessica Birch, who's tracking another warm-up right around the corner.
Well, it's a lot cooler for us today all throughout the Bay Area. It was just a few days ago we were talking about 80s in our inland spots. Today we're back in the 60s today in wine country, anywhere from Santa Rosa over into Napa, Sonoma too. We're in the low 60s into San Francisco with partly cloudy skies all day long, and then 50s along our shoreline. So that 20-degree temperature spread from our microclimates off into the East Bay compared to our coastal areas is still sticking around for us today. Now we make our way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We have mid to low 70s in the forecast today, and areas close to San Jose. Los Gatos just a little bit warmer there. Here's what's happening for us down into the Santa Clara Valley. Light winds for the most part this morning. It will get gustier as we head into this afternoon, widespread throughout the Bay Area. Gust up to around 20-25 miles per hour near San Francisco into our 5 o'clock hour tonight. We'll notice that onshore breeze stretched all the way up into the Delta too. Now at the same time we head into the afternoon hours today, those clouds really just want to hold on tight to our coastal areas. So if you're planning on doing a hike maybe at Tennessee Valley or all the way down into Half Moon Bay, all throughout our coastline this afternoon, we're going to see those clouds hold on tight to us. And then the fog fills the bay once again as we head into our Thursday forecast. The good news is it's still dry though, and we're going to see dry conditions today, tomorrow, lasting into this weekend with a bit of a warm up right around the corner heading into this weekend. But then once we head into early next week, that's when we actually see a big cool down with a chance of showers right around the corner too. So let's start off with that. We head all the way over into our inland spots, places like the East Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. Today we're sitting in the low 70s. We jump right back up into the low 80s as we head into Thursday, and Friday's forecast will be even warmer than that. Once that cold front approaches us though into next week, we drop down to the 60s with a chance of showers right around the corner to dive into early next work week. Now you make your way over into the Bay, closer to San Francisco and Oakland, we're seeing the exact same thing too.
Well, a shakeup at the top of the San Francisco Police Department. Police Chief Bill Scott is leaving the force. Police Scott has served as the city's top cop for the past 8 years. He was sworn in as chief under Mayor Ed Lee back in 2017. During a media briefing this morning, he said he's stepping down due to another opportunity as a chief in another jurisdiction.
Thanks to the tireless work of the members of the SFPD, sworn and non-sworn, combined with the department's collaboration with community partners and many other entities, we accomplished what we set out to do and made the department better and helped this great city to become safer in the process. My departure comes at a time of great momentum in the SFPD and in our city under the leadership of Mayor Daniel Lurie, and I fully expect that this momentum will not only continue, but get even better.
He has become the longest-serving chief in SFPD history, guiding the department through a period of change. Facing a significant officer shortage, he has led the way in leveraging modern technology effectively and responsibly to prevent crime and catch criminals. He has implemented important reforms that have helped the department build trust with communities and improve public safety outcomes. As we stand here today and over the course of Chief Scott's tenure, crime has fallen significantly. There's no question that our city continues to get safer. On behalf of the city, I want to thank you, Chief Scott, for your steady leadership, your commitment to reform, and your dedicated service to the people of San Francisco.
Police Chief Scott will remain on the force for 6 weeks until they can make the transition, and then Paul Yep will take over as interim chief. He was appointed by Mayor Lurie as the public safety czar as part of the mayor's new executive branch. Well, it's been tough to draw people back to downtown San Francisco. There are still lots of empty storefronts and sidewalks, but one strategy that has shown promising results over the past year is, well, throwing a party. Case in point, First Thursdays launched 1 year ago. That's a monthly block party that's been drawing large crowds to 2nd Street. Then there are the free concerts, this one just from last week in the same area. Downtown San Francisco almost unrecognizable with this turnout, with the crowd stretching for several blocks there. And there are also the special theme events like Oktoberfest, where the beer was flowing inside the Front Street Entertainment Zone. Now the city is trying to build on the momentum with a brand new summer block party series called Fridays on Front Street. Max Darrow talks to local businesses who are banking on the party.
These murals were from the 1930s from an artist named Herman Richter.
With a window into the past on the walls of his bar, Andy Chun is determined to ensure Schroeder's has a place in downtown San Francisco's future.
We feel a huge responsibility to keep this business going.
That's why he doesn't think twice when an opportunity to be a part of a bigger push to bring people downtown comes up. And the latest effort is providing him with some newfound optimism.
We have a long way to go, but for the first time since COVID, we're 5 years out now, like literally 5 years out. I'm finally feeling like there may be a light at the end of the tunnel.
He will have a front row seat to Fridays on Front Street, a handful of block parties taking place in the Front Street Entertainment Zone through the summer and the fall. Well-known music and event promoter Noise Pop will curate a live music stage for the events. And if these events are anything like the other Entertainment Zone events already in play, like Oktoberfest, Chun says they will make a difference.
We'll have, sometimes 4,000 or 5,000 people here, which is fantastic. It could be a week's worth of sale in a day.
We're definitely viewing the Front Street Entertainment Zone as a venue.
Melissa Buckminster is with the Downtown San Francisco Partnership.
This whole street will be open to pedestrians and closed to cars. There's going to be live music. There's going to be vendors out on the street selling drinks, food.
Buckminster says their data shows these events provide bursts of revenue to the businesses in the entertainment zone. She points at Oktoberfest as an example. More than 8,000 people attended. Harrington's bar saw 16 times the number of sales when compared to a typical Friday night. The hope is that people will be reintroduced to downtown San Francisco and no longer see it as just a 9-to-5 neighborhood.
We're not saying that a singular event is going to change what's going on in downtown, but what we can say is the steady drumbeat of events, activations, and obvious love for an area changes the way that people interact with it.
Though some downtown business owners outside of the perimeter of the various activations tell us they haven't seen the boost they'd hoped for yet. Patience and persistence will continue to be key from Chun's perspective.
This is just the first step. Come down and check out an event and hopefully you have a really good time. But, more to come. This is just the beginning of what we imagine downtown San Francisco could end up becoming.
A look into the future from the streets of a neighborhood with a storied past.
Both these events are part of a larger push to get people more of a reason to spend time downtown. According to the event, organizers Downtown First Thursdays have generated about $11.9 million in spending at downtown businesses and with small local vendors. As for people, the event has brought more than 180,000 attendees to the neighborhood over the course of the series. And it's not only the initiative to bring people back downtown. Wells Fargo just announced it is donating $1 million to a handful of organizations working at the city's downtown revitalization. That includes SF New Deal, which will use the funds to scale up its Vacant to Vibrant program.
With this investment by Wells Fargo, we're really going to be able to accelerate the pop-ups coming to downtown and perhaps staying downtown. You're going to turn around in a couple of months and see that we've been able to bring pop-ups every month, 3 or 4 pop-ups to downtown San Francisco.
Over the last year and a half or so, Vacant to Vibrant has brought 18 vacant storefronts to life with pop-ups. More than half those business owners ended up signing long-term leases to stay. And here's a look at the schedule for Fridays on Front Street. The first event is at the end of this month, followed by 3 more parties through October, and it's all free. You just have to RSVP. Well, history is being made at the Vatican. 133 cardinals are gathering to choose the next leader of the Catholic Church. The start of the conclave comes less than 3 weeks after the death of Pope Francis. A new CBS News poll shows most American Catholics, 76%, support the direction that he took the church. And now many hope the next pope will continue in the same direction. Dana Kraus is at the Vatican to explain what's happening as the conclave begins.
The cardinals entered the Sistine Chapel and took an oath of secrecy as they began the process of choosing Pope Francis's successor. In the final mass before the conclave began, the dean of the College of Cardinals reminded them to set aside personal opinions and elect a pope who can see unity in diversity.
With Pope Francis being a more progressive pope, I think everyone's really on the cusp and anxious to see who they're going to pick next.
The so-called princes of the church have surrendered their phones and cut off communications with the outside world. They will keep casting ballots until they reach a 2/3 consensus. The 133 cardinals come from 70 countries, 10 of them from the U.S., and the vast majority chosen by Pope Francis himself.
They don't know each other very well. Pope Francis called them together very infrequently, only really once in 2014 for open discussion.
A new CBS News poll of U.S. Catholics shows more than a third hope the new pontiff will be more conservative than Pope Francis, while 21% want someone more progressive.
I would love as a Catholic to see more female in intervention in all parts of the service.
The church does not need to fit the age. That's why it's 2,000 years old.
Crowds are watching for smoke signals from the temporary chimney on the roof of the Sistine Chapel. Black means no decision. White smoke means a new pope and a new path for the world's 1.4 billion Catholics.
Pope Francis was elected on the 5th ballot in 2013. Pope John Paul II needed 8 rounds of voting. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, real test for TSA today, as the real ID requirement takes effect at airports nationwide. So are the airports as crazy as we expected? We head to SFO to see for ourselves. Plus, the price of gold spiking as President Trump's tariffs cause market turbulence. We're going to speak to local collectors about what's driving the frenzy. And the Golden State Valkyries have officially arrived, breaking down the big plays and hearing from a new era of Bay Area faithful.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
Bay Area today, it's a little bit cooler compared to where we were at yesterday. Sitting in the 80s just yesterday, we're back down to the 70s this afternoon, still with sunny skies though, so it'll feel nice and warm. We're back into the 80s as we head into our Thursday forecast, close to the 90s by Friday to kick off this weekend. And then once we head into this weekend, look at that drop, 80s to 60s right around the corner as we head into next Monday, with rainy skies also rolling in from offshore. That's going to be the case widespread throughout the Bay Area. You're going to notice it from San Francisco off into our inland spots with cooler weather around the corner, so we'll keep you updated on that.
Well, beginning today, Real ID rules are in effect at airports all across the U.S., but you can still fly even if you don't have one yet. Veronica Macias went to SFO today to see how this is all playing out.
For months, there had been signs on the screens letting people know they would be denied access if they didn't have their Real ID by today, May 7th. We're finding that people this morning are being reassured they can get on that domestic flight without the Real ID. However, they're going to go through extra steps to get verified. Here at TSA, we're finding that things are running pretty smoothly. People have known about this for quite some time. The Real ID recommended by the 9/11 Commission, then signed into law 20 years ago, back in 2005. There were multiple delays. Those who don't have their Real ID starting today can get on that plane with some extra steps, according to Homeland Security. However, 81% of travelers have already complied in getting theirs. 20% do not have it, and they will need their passport or other forms of identification to get verified. This morning, we ran into one adorable passenger getting through without his Real ID.
We have all the things. We're ready to go. Hopefully no tears. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, I've had a Real ID for a long time because I feel like everybody in California has had the Real ID for a long time, but I'm hoping with Clear and TSA PreCheck, it's not an issue.
Are you prepared with the Real ID today?
Yes, I am.
How long have you had it?
I've had it almost a year.
What do you think about people who waited until the last minute may cause extra lines here today?
Scrambling, because some of them don't have birth certificates. That was my experience with a family member.
I expect there's going to be a slight line, but I'm prepared, so I'm not super worried about it.
Today, we also talked to passengers who seem a little concerned about the travel situation and chaos that's happening on the East Coast, with some 100 flights canceled at Newark, according to FlightAware. People concerned that could have a ripple effect across the country.
If you still have not gotten your Real ID yet, appointments are full at DMV offices across the Bay Area through the next few weeks. But the Oakland office does have extended hours and Saturday appointments for this month. Just head to the DMV website for those specific times. Well, we're getting our first look at Oakland's plan to tackle its $265 million budget deficit over the next 2 fiscal years. Interim Mayor Kevin Jenkins says his proposal will protect police and fire services. The plan would slash 80 currently staffed jobs, though the city officials do believe they can reduce that to less than a dozen by shuffling people to vacant positions. The budget would also fund 670 police officers and 23 fire engine companies, but shut down 2 of them on a rotating basis. The budget relies on a proposed property tax hike. If the city council signs off, it would go before voters in June of next year. Less than a month ago, voters did approve an increase in the city's sales tax to help address the budget issues. Some residents say they should not have to be on the hook.
Every time the city council has some brilliant idea that's going to cost a lot of money, who do they turn to? Us.
The proposed parcel tax could bring in another $40 million to the city. The city council will review the proposal and must vote on the budget by the end of next month. Well, tensions flared on the San Francisco State campus after a conservative commentator paid a visit. Police stepped in to maintain order. Supporters of right-wing podcaster Charlie Kirk clashed with protesters in a heated shouting match yesterday. Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA and a vocal Trump supporter, was joined by Riley Gaines, a former swimmer and activist who opposes transgender athletes competing in women's sports. You may recall that back in 2023, Gaines had to shelter in place at a San Francisco State classroom due to a similar protest. One attendee says it was good to see Gaines return.
Now that the Turning Point chapter here is able to host this event with Charlie and with Riley again, it just goes to show the resilience within the movement, and we're never going to give up. We're going to keep speaking our mind and keep having those tough but really productive conversations.
The event was hosted by SF State's Turning Point USA chapter. Well, following a high-stakes meeting at the White House, there are new indications that the trade wars may stretch on. President Trump met with Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, in the Oval Office yesterday. Relations between the two countries have been strained since the Trump administration imposed 25% tariffs on some Canadian goods back in March. President Trump said he will not back down when it comes to tariffs. Those tariffs have helped set off a modern-day gold rush, the price of 1 ounce of gold reaching more than $3,400 yesterday, up more than 28% for the year. I had a chance to speak to a local collector about what's behind that surge.
Seth Chandler,
This is real gold.
is not afraid to admit
We have here an American eagle,
he has a bit of gold fever.
and then we have a Canadian maple leaf. So these are really cool.
And since 1959, his store, Witter Coin, has been in the business of buying and selling precious metals.
And once you own it, you can put it in the safe deposit box, hide it under your mattress, your shoe, whatever you want, but you have it, you own it.
And recently, with the price of gold reaching record highs, that has kept Chandler busy seeing his own mini gold rush of people inside his store in San Francisco, a city that in 1849 was the center of the gold universe.
Let's be very, very clear. There would be no San Francisco without the gold rush. The gold rush was instrumental in the creation of San Francisco, in fact, the American West.
And speaking about the San Francisco gold rush, they're still mining for nuggets just like these. This was found about 5 years ago, worth about $10,000.
I mean, gold has been around forever.
Joe Halpern, Chief Investment Officer of Fountainhead, says the recent interest in gold can be tied to the volatility in the stock market since the start of the Trump administration.
It's been going up for a while now, for over the last year, but you really saw a lift after Liberation Day on April 2nd. At first, gold moved down with the whole market, but then it increased dramatically. And gold is really a flight to safety. And so when people are nervous, they tend to sell out of those risky assets like an Apple or a Microsoft, and they go into Treasury or gold.
Meanwhile, for Chandler,
because these are really rare,
his golden rule is not to give out investment advice, but he understands people's fascination with physical gold.
When you have a 1 ounce gold coin in your hand, it feels very heavy. It feels like real money.
Real currency that some will always believe is good as gold.
And if you want to invest in gold, the easiest way is to buy into a gold ETF or mutual fund. If you want to buy physical gold like coins or nuggets, you can have a third party store it for you if you don't feel comfortable holding onto it yourself. Still ahead, the Golden State Valkyries have officially made their debut at Chase Center. We caught up with fans who were there to help kick off this new era of Bay Area sports.
That just shows you the demand of the women's sport right now. I mean, we've been waiting.
Never give up, baby.
I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute. A big shakeup happening at San Francisco City Hall. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott is leaving the force. During a media briefing this morning, he said he's stepping down due to another opportunity. Current public safety czar and former Commander Paul Yep will take over as interim chief. Beginning today, real IDs are officially required for all domestic flights. This applies to Americans 18 years and older. The Department of Homeland Security says if you don't have one yet, you can still catch your flight, but you'll face extra screenings at the airport. And Steph Curry will be out for at least the next game against the Timberwolves. That's according to ESPN. Curry suffered a left hamstring injury in Game 1 of the series last night. The Warriors still won that game, 99-88 in Minnesota. Game 2 will tip off tomorrow at 5:30. I'm Ryan Yamamoto, and this is The Minute.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
Well, it's a lot cooler for us today all throughout the Bay Area. It was just a few days ago we were talking about 80s in our inland spots. Today we're back in the 60s today in wine country, anywhere from Santa Rosa over into Napa, Sonoma too. We're in the low 60s into San Francisco with partly cloudy skies all day long, and then 50s along our shoreline. So that 20-degree temperature spread from our microclimates off into the East Bay compared to our coastal areas is still sticking around for us today. Now we make our way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We have mid to low 70s in the forecast today in areas close to San Jose. Los Gatos just a little bit warmer there. Here's what's happening for us down into the Santa Clara Valley. Light winds for the most part this morning. It will get gustier as we head into this afternoon, widespread throughout the Bay Area. Gust up to around 20-25 miles per hour near San Francisco into our 5 o'clock hour tonight. We'll notice that onshore breeze stretched all the way up into the Delta too. Now at the same time we head into the afternoon hours today, those clouds really just want to hold on tight to our coastal areas. So if you're planning on doing a hike maybe at Tennessee Valley or all the way down into Half Moon Bay, all throughout our coastline this afternoon, we're going to see those clouds hold on tight to us. And then the fog fills the bay once again as we head into our Thursday forecast. The good news is it's still dry though, and we're going to see dry conditions today, tomorrow, lasting into this weekend with a bit of a warm up right around the corner heading into this weekend. But then once we head into early next week, that's when we actually see a big cool down with a chance of showers right around the corner too. So let's start off with that. We head all the way over into our inland spots, places like the East Bay and the Santa Clara Valley. Today we're sitting in the low 70s. We jump right back up into the low 80s as we head into Thursday, and Friday's forecast will be even warmer than that. Once that cold front approaches us though into next week, we drop down to the 60s with a chance of showers right around the corner to dive into early next work week. Now you make your way over into the Bay, closer to San Francisco and Oakland, we're seeing the exact same thing too.
Well, the Golden State Valkyries began their inaugural season with a thriller at the Chase Center last night. Fans celebrated history in the hardwood as the team took on the Los Angeles Sparks. Monique Billings scoring the team's first official bucket. The team fell behind early, but rallied in the second half. In the end, the Valkyries fell short by a single point. The final score, 83-82.
Everyone was a little nervous. Everyone had a little first game jitters, as they should, because that crowd was amazing. Our crowd came, our crowd showed up. It felt like a playoff game. That's what it really felt like.
You said you wanted to play at Chase Center. That's what you wanted to do most. What was it like out there?
It was awesome. It was better than I even expected. The crowd just pushed us to come back. They are so loud. It's really like you're playing with 6, actually, not with 5 on the court.
The way the fans were cheering, it feels like we came out with the win. May 16th, that's our first home opener, so we need the Bay to show up. They showed up tonight. Can't wait to see everyone in the stands again.
The Valkyries take their preseason show on the road to Phoenix. You can watch that game on Pix Plus at 2:30 p.m. As Coach Nakase and some of the players just mentioned, the fans really showed up to catch all the action. Our Kelsey Thord was there. She's been following the team all through training camp to this moment where she says the Bay Area is already embracing the new squad.
The first ever Valkyries game took over Chase Center Tuesday night, and the fans could not have been more excited.
I'm a season ticket holder. I've never bought a season ticket for anything in my life. I come to Warriors games, but have never spent that kind of money. I'm so excited.
Ahead of the game, fans were treated to a little block party in Thrive City. Season ticket holders were even gifted matching jackets.
It's got this nice little patch on it. One of a kind. One of a kind.
It's got the Valkyrie logo on the inside, so I'm really excited for this.
The excitement palpable among fans of all ages.
Peyton, how excited are you tonight? 5 out of 5?
I mean 10.
Oh, 10. Yeah, well, your other hands are full of pom-poms, so I get it. Have you ever been to a women's basketball game before?
I'm going right now.
You are going right now?
Yeah, but it's a girl one.
I know. How cool is that?
Good.
More than 10,000 people bought season tickets for this inaugural year, including the Monroe Speed family, who we first met back on WNBA draft night.
That just shows you the demand of the women's sport right now. I mean, we've been waiting, and it's been taking forever. And you see everybody out here. They said this is the largest season ticket holder purchase for any women's sport, so this is great.
And while in the end the game didn't tip the Valkyries' way, fans told us they still left with a big dose of optimism going into the regular season.
We loved it. So good. Such a close game. So many highlights. The three-pointer at the end, amazing.
We almost won.
Close enough.
You know, we did great.
That was a great show for a season opener. Really excited to see the first actual game.
CBS News Bay Area is the home of the Valkyries. More than 30 games will air on Pix Plus. We also have a weekly show with behind-the-scenes access. Coming up in our next half hour in CBS News Bay Area, we head to an East Bay neighborhood, put up their own private license plate readers to deal with rampant break-ins. They say it's working, but will the city foot the bill?
This wasn't something we could wait around on, so we wanted to lead by example.
Well, as a creative way to address the housing crunch, we're going to introduce you to a college athlete who's earning his keep with a couple that needs a lot of help around the house and the new app that connected them.
It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore to lend a helping hand.
It gives me back my freedom, and he's great to have around, and he laughs at my jokes.
Well, neighbors in one East Bay city got so fed up with the number of burglaries and break-ins, they took matters into their own hands by paying to install their own license plate reader cameras. As Katie Nielsen shows us, those neighbors are asking the city of Orinda to pick up the tab on their cameras and add 15 more.
Take a look at this surveillance video. Prowlers casing houses in the Knickerbocker neighborhood of Orinda.
This is something that in this neighborhood we dealt with personally, not only myself but other people.
Evan Dreyer says his home in Orinda was broken into last January, and he and his family no longer felt safe.
We understand that getting city governments and city budgets to do things sometimes can take time. This wasn't something we could wait around on, so we wanted to lead by example.
Evan sent out a bunch of emails to his neighbors and asked if they'd be interested in paying for their own license plate reader cameras. And in just a few days, he got more than 30 families to sign on. They installed 2 flock cameras at the main entrances to the neighborhood at a cost of a little over $11,000 for a 2-year contract, which came out to about $400 per family.
Like this car right here that's coming down right now, for example, it's going to automatically turn on, take a picture of this license plate, and if that car was a vehicle that was wanted by the police, it automatically gives them an alert, so they will now know, oh, he just crossed by Steinway, and they can do something.
At the meeting on Tuesday night, the Orinda City Council is considering not only picking up the contract on the 2 cameras Evan and his neighbors paid for, but then adding another 15 more. Privacy advocates have raised concerns in general about these license plate reader cameras because almost every law enforcement agency in the area can get access to the data.
What is the information being used for? And why is it okay for people's license plates to be captured indiscriminately by law enforcement when people driving down the road are really not breaking any laws?
But in Orinda, that hasn't seemed to slow down deployment. The city currently has a total of 19 cameras, and of those, only 7 were installed by the city. The other 12 were installed by neighborhood groups or HOAs.
I want to keep my neighborhood safe. Absolutely.
Scott Johnson says his HOA already paid for a camera at the entrance to their community and says while he thinks the city should be paying for it, he is willing to foot the bill if necessary.
Fix the roads and we could go and fix the lights. And yes, we'd all like to see society work better, but a lot of our municipalities really just don't seem to be following through.
Flock says it has more than 5,000 customers nationwide. The clients that range from law enforcement and businesses to schools and neighborhood groups. That includes Bay Area police departments like San Francisco, Oakland, and East Palo Alto, as well as the CHP. We reached out to the mayor's office and the police chief for comment on the issue, and both refused our requests for interviews. A Bay Area startup is taking a different approach in an attempt to help solve the housing crisis. It's a matchmaking app, but not in the traditional way you may be thinking. Our Itai Hodge shows us how they are zeroing in on what could be an untapped market.
When most students have called it a day, Nanak Tagore is just getting started. A shooting guard for the Dominican University basketball team, he's got range, control, and a shot that rarely misses. But when it came time to find housing in the Bay Area, let's just say he was out of his league.
San Rafael is one of the most expensive places to live, so I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to live on my own.
That's when he stumbled on a startup called Joey, a platform that pairs students with homeowners who need a little help around the house. Nanak now pays about $1,700 a month for a room in Marin County. But $500 of that he works off with chores, cleaning windows, taking out the trash, sorting the mail, and yes, making lunch.
Did you even know how to cook?
The basics.
The people he lives with can use the help. Paige Miller has early-stage dementia. Her husband Robert runs a company and works long hours.
My worry actually was Paige. Would she feel comfortable having somebody else live in the house?
It gives me back my freedom, and he's great to have around, and he laughs at my jokes.
With about 60% of U.S. homes having at least one spare bedroom, the new housing frontier may already be built and gaining momentum.
It just didn't make sense to me why we couldn't have something similar to au pairs for older adults.
Joey founder and CEO Allison Donnelly says Nanak is the first student to match up. but more applications are already being processed.
What we can do at Joey Co. is create more bedroom inventory for these students.
So here's my room.
As for Nanik, he's found more than just a place to stay.
It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a chore to lend a helping hand.
Because sometimes the most important plays don't happen on the court.
Here's the salad.
They happen in real life.
Colorful.
When no one's keeping score.
Are these peas any good?
Yeah, they are really. Well, each renter comes to a unique agreement with a homeowner that accounts for rent and how much they're able to help with chores. Joeys are paid by the hour and reimbursed at the end of each month. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ryan Yamamoto. We'll be right back with your First Alert forecast and a look at your top stories.